Hello, and welcome to this app tour for the Encounter Church app in Stillwater, Oklahoma. We do these app tours so we can help show people what's possible to do with their church's app, since oftentimes it can be hard for a church to get that information to people. So you could see already there what I did was open quick actions by deep pressing on the app icon for the Encounter Church app. And that may be something that people don't even realize you can do. It lets you dive straight into notes, podcast, calendar, connect without even opening the app. And here I am inside the app. You can see you have a tab bar at the bottom, which gives you the ability to access different sections of the app. I'm going to go into the notes section at first. Encounter Church does an excellent job with their sermon notes. If you go to Encounter Church and you're not using the sermon notes and you have access to a smartphone, then I would highly advise you to check these out. So what you have the ability to do here, and what Encounter Church does, is they post their sermon series banner, consistently having amazing sermon series graphics at the top. And then you have your sermon name, in this case, Hope Restored, Hope Has a Name, Hope Restored being the series name, and then a description of the series, and then a number of notes along with scripture that help you follow along with the messages you're listening. But not only can you follow along, but you can also take notes and interact. So I'm going to I'm going to touch the What Do We Hope For? And you can see it brings up the ability for me to take a note. So I'm just going to type note 1 here. And I'm going to click add, and you can see now there's a little symbol next to what do we hope for. So now the message keeps going, and let's say we get to the third point here, one man, one hope. There's something else I want to take a note on. So I'm going to type note 2 here, and click save. And now you can see I can easily tell where I've taken notes, but also the notes don't become bloated with a bunch of my own personal notes. In this case, it wouldn't become that bloated since I'm just writing a single word, but in reality, you might be taking paragraphs of notes on each section, which could make the notes get very messy. So this way, you can see where the notes are, and I can just touch. I'm going to touch what do we hope for again, and you can see we're back at note 1, or I can touch one man, one hope, and we're back at note 2. So my notes are stored here, and I can easily access them, but they also don't take up room, so I can easily see what the notes were that the church posted. So once the message is done, I can select the email sermon button at the bottom, and it will bring up an email which says Encounter Church Sermon. It will always say the church name sermon, and whatever the sermon name is. And you can see here, what do we hope for? Well, there's my personal note 1, nicely separated with asterisks to make it obvious where my notes begin and end. And then as we go down to one man, one hope, you can see once again, there's my personal note 2, taken in line where I took it. So the power of this is that I can have my notes in line where I took them. They're not just one big block sent to me at the end or the start of the sermon notes. And also, if I were to email this to myself, I could set it up in my email client where the email client will take these and archive them in however I want to, like form a folder or whatever I want to do. So I can just email these at the end of the message every week, and I know I just have a version of my notes there waiting for me. I don't have to worry about losing them, losing the paper, keeping track of paper. And this also gives Encounter Church the ability to be able to have notes without having to print a bulletin. I can't say for sure whether or not they use one, but at least this gives them the ability not to have to print as much. So the next section I want to talk about is the podcast section. So I'm going to click the podcast tab, and you can see here we have all of the sermon series listed with their beautiful artwork. And something I love is when you have a church that has artwork that's so good for sermon series, you can see a lot of consistency. Here's today's message, and here is the sermon series with Hope Restored. I can select that. Hope Has a Name and Hope Has a Name. So you can see I can now go just listen to that message because it's already available for me, and I can even go back and look at the old notes. Here is Hope Has a Name, which this is a look into you version of what those notes look like. So you can see here, it's actually the same notes. This is just on the web, a version of what they look like. So you can access the notes for basically any sermon. You can listen to the audio for any sermon. So I just clicked audio. You can see we're in here listening. Now you see you have that fun graphic at the bottom showing that audio is playing. I'm going to go ahead and click back into notes. Hey, and look, that graphic followed us. And now the key here is sometimes it can be difficult to get back to audio, and you'll see different apps treat this in different ways, but we have that follow you. So one, it's a fun animation, but also at any time you can just select that animation. So I'm going to touch that animation, and boom, I'm back in the sermon where it's playing, so I can pause it, fast forward it, do whatever I want with it. Also, you can see to the right of listen to audio there's an X. That's because I actually already have this message downloaded. But let's go to a whole different sermon series. Let's go to Lean In. Let's go to What's My Motivation. I'm going to select the down arrow now that's there instead of that X. And this is going to allow me to quickly download that message. So now it's downloaded and I can listen to it without needing to have a connection to the internet. I can go running and listen to it, which is what I often do. And in the top right corner, there is a share button as well, which I can select, and it lets me share this message with people on social networks, email, or text. So if I hear something that I think would help someone else, I can easily share it. So that covers the podcast section. Oh, and real fast in the top right corner, you can see there's a folder. That takes me to all of my downloaded messages. So I can go into my message. So we saw that Hope Has a Name I downloaded. So if I listen to that, it plays right away, and it doesn't stream it. It plays the downloaded version. But if I select the folder, you can see here are the downloaded series. So even the downloaded section divides by series. And I can see, well, here's What's My Motivation, the message I downloaded, and there it is again. So from here, I could delete the message by clicking the X, which is what I'm going to do here just to show you. So I have the ability to delete it there. Or if I have a lot downloaded and I just want to clean up things because I'm using up a lot of space on my phone, there's the trash can in the top right corner of the downloaded section. And this lets me just clean everything out to free up all that memory. So it makes it really easy to manage the podcast from wherever you are without also needing you to go to some weird download section of the app. No, it's intuitively where you would want it to be able to manage the podcasts. Next up, let's look at the calendar. Encounter Church does a really good job with their calendar as well. It's not just a list of Sunday morning service, Sunday morning service, Sunday morning service. I can see there's a lot going on here. I don't even see Sunday morning service. Oh, there's Encounter Worship service. So there's Sunday morning service, but there's all sorts of things going on in Encounter Church, and I can click the information button for any event, and it brings up contact information as well as additional details when available. Now, if there are no additional details, it would just say there's no additional details, but Encounter Church has additional details for almost everything going on, if not everything going on at the church, along with contact information. And if I select the Add to Calendar button, it will ask if I want to give Encounter Church access to the calendar. And if so, if I click OK, it adds that event to my calendar. So now on my device, so in this case, you're looking at an iPhone 7, that event, Ignite Student Ministries, has been added to my iCalendar. And now my wife's calendar is also attached or linked to my calendar. So now we have that on all of our calendars so easily. A click of the button and all of our calendars now have Ignite Student Ministries, that event on there. So this gives you the ability to just scroll through this list of all the events going on at Encounter Church, and with a single click or going through each one. Now, it's not going to ask me. So I'm going to do men's prayer breakfast. Look, it didn't even ask me if I wanted to allow it to do it because now I've given it access. So with quickly click, I can just add all of the events that are relevant to me so that they're added to my personal calendar or my family's calendar. And it works the same with, on Android, it would be using your Google Calendar instead of iCal. So the last section I want to go into is the Connect section. This section gives you access to all sorts of ways to connect with Encounter Church. So you can see you have your Connect card. So on Sunday mornings, once again, this is something that doesn't need to be printed as much because you can encourage people to go to the Connect card. Also now people can access the Connect card when they're not at church on Sunday mornings. So let's say a visitor comes and downloads the app. They can on Monday be thinking about the church because there's the app on their phone, and they can be like, oh, hey, you know what, man, let's check this app out, find the Connect card and fill it out, making it much easier for people to connect. You can see you also have access to encounter groups, all of social media, and the ability to contact the church through calling or email. And the top option here, which is a really fun function on iPhone and iPad, is the Send Invite button, which opens a rich HTML email. And what I mean by that, it's an email with images and formatting. So this will format very nicely to whatever device you're looking at. On an iPad, it'll fit the iPad screen fine. On mobile, like a phone or Android phone, it will fit the phone nicely. Or on a desktop computer, it will fit the phone nicely. So if you run into someone in a coffee house or something, or Walmart, whatever, you run into them, you start talking about church, you could be like, oh man, you know what? I go to this awesome church. I go to Encounter Church. You know, let me get my phone out and just send you an invite. You pull it out, you get their email address, and with nothing more, you have an email that's formatted just in the way that Encounter Church feels like is a great way to reach out to people and let them know about the church, talking about a weekend experience at Encounter Church, what they have for kids, and how to get to Encounter Church. And you can see here, and there's a get directions button. So just clicking that from the email will take you right into whatever maps are set as the default on the computer or phone and get you directions to the church. So it gives you a very easy way to reach out and invite people to church. So hopefully that gives you a great idea of all the different things you can do with the Encounter Church app. Obviously, there's a giving button there too, but that just opens up the ability to give, not much to show in this video. But hopefully that gives you a great idea of what there is to do with the app. If you'd like to see more of what's possible with a FaithLink app, please visit www.faithlinkapps.com. And if you're just watching this to see what apps offer, or if you go to Encounter Church and you want to see what other things could possibly be added into the Encounter Church app, please follow FaithLink Church Apps on Facebook, where we're regularly posting videos just like this one showing what we're doing to add stuff into church apps to be able to help churches better connect with God and with their community.